All I can say after leaving episode 10 of Heavenly Delusion is that Heavenly Delusion can't keep getting away with this. Every week, when I think I kind of know where the show wants to go, it throws me for not one but multiple loops, and by the end of any given episode, I'm left scratching my head saying, what in the hell did I just watch? And when can I get more? It's like they got me addicted on the newest drug because this show is absolutely incredible, and I have to say, it's weird, but honestly, if I had a nickel for every time I saw a very passable cross-dresser anime character, I may only have 2 nickels, but it's kind of weird that it happened twice this week, and most importantly, yesterday to today. Between Dr. Stone and Gen, in terms of him being damn passable, to Maru honestly getting that glow up, it's kind of impressive how well they switch over to the other side, and goddamn, these episodes are crazy. Now, full live reaction episode 10 of Heavenly Delusion is available on my Patreon if you do want to see my full uncut thoughts. Definitely, I had no damn idea where it's going, so if you want to see my mind break in real time, you can head on over there and consider supporting. This was a great episode. Did not go in the direction I thought. Honestly, that baby threw me for a loop. I mean, as I said last week, the best lies are ones that are clouded in an element of truth. So I thought last week, between breeding pigs to aliens to war, all of that was partially true. I thought there was elements of truth to everything that this man was selling us, just it wasn't the full story. This episode, he shows us that number 11, while the first tattoo we saw was indeed a fake, there actually was a real one, and he really did come from a breeding pig facility. I think that much is 100% clear. But the idea of going up against this arachnid monster, right? These monsters are so creative. Not only do some of them just visually frighten us, but then there's ones that will go inside our minds and make us live out our most horrible dreams. And then we have one that basically freezes everything around you, to then having this baby who I was like, oh my god, is the baby actually a monster and the baby's gonna kill everyone? Turns out, no, as far as we can tell, very similar to even a character like Maru, just abilities that a baby, a young infant, can't control just yet. And that's why the freezing kind of went haywire as we saw. But the big shocker was definitely what he kept as, you know, hidden, something close to his chest. So he ran away, and that much has been 100% confirmed. But the idea that, you know, it's such clever directing, you see this little keychain or object that he keeps looking at. And as we see in the flashback, as he's hovering over the man who he cuts throat with a goddamn saw, we see a man with one of the women holding a baby, and we see the same kind of dangling chain there, which basically says one of the other pigs was most likely the person who called out someone is escaping. And the idea of taking your revenge and saying, I know it was probably you, and just, I'm out, I'm stealing the new car, I'm taking my son, I'm starting my life over. And just to see that raw rage, going from a lot of people I saw last week thinking the whole breeding pig facility was complete BS, that there was no elements of truth, coming in knowing that it was real, and that the only reason that a majority of these men are even alive is because his kid was crying, so they were already up trying to calm him down so the kid wouldn't get killed by the women, to only see that giant spider sitting there. It's crazy to see the amount of plot twists or twists and turns that can occur in such a short amount of time, and by the time they give you a punchline to an episode, you just are left sitting there saying, what the hell did I just witness? But what an incredible adventure. I mean, right away, you knew something was different. It had a very different production style. I knew it reminded me of something, and the show that it reminded me of is anyone who watched Sunny Boy. Hell, even if you didn't watch Sunny Boy, you just saw some clips here and there. The animation and art direction at multiple points in this episode, sometimes it looks like a normal Heavenly Delusion episode, but then at other points, to me, it looks like the spitting image of Sunny Boy. And as someone who loved the production style of that show, it was so different. The way they would, you know, the rough lines, it's just almost like sometimes Sunny Boy felt like stop animation, and then at other points, it's like, oh my god, did they use pastels to color this in? It was such a wild show on a visual level. I mean, narratively as well was a mind mess of a situation. Great show. But that's kind of the vibe I got here. The initial ice attack when they're sitting in the classroom area and the ice is kind of coating everything over, you're throwing the sleeping bag over Kiriko, and just the way they just completely shifted the production really made for something that felt different than anything we've experienced. And I think given the almost tonal shift and the different type of directing they were going with this father-son reunion story, it made total sense to shift up the art production as well, and the animation had a lot of really clever moments. I mean, I just think it's so crazy that we can blast half of a spider monster clean off, and that thing can still run away for its dear life. Like, this world is frightening as hell, and I didn't think anything would truly top the whole Dream Eater demon monster that went inside Kiro's mind and made them think, well, I'm losing my limbs here. But honestly, that spider, I think, is my new favorite one, just because it's so fast, it's so, you don't see what it's doing until it's too late, and the idea of like having a mouthful of water to then spray it when the attacks first starting in order to basically rupture kind of like this like ice sculpture so you can get around the blast and get a nice clean shot in. It's pretty impressive, all things considered. But the real kicker of this episode was indeed that the man telling us stories, he told us a real story, he kept the most important part to himself, and when he finally was reunited after, you know, I mean, had the kid not been there at all, it's entirely possible we might have just watched him pull a gun and shoot him right then and there. But the idea of reuniting and having that second chance and knowing that, like, you probably are the one who called out, I knew someone did, and just, honestly, if that wasn't, and that was all a misunderstanding, you're just a murderer for nothing. But that's kind of what this world breeds. It breeds monsters, it creates monsters, and it's insanity. We got a really brief taste of heaven this episode, but man, I mean, they use every second. Seeing someone pregnant, referring to whatever's inside them as a thing, because they don't have sex ed in this world. They have no idea why their body's bloating up this way and why they probably feel things move, as you have a group of new students who arrive, and seriously, some of the looks, if looks could kill. I mean, whatever they're doing, making monsters, trying to make something to fight monsters, whatever the hell they're doing, it's never gonna be good. Otherwise, why would an alien-looking being kill themselves with a smile on their face? But I love the fact that no matter what we see, whether it's 2 seconds in an episode, a majority of an episode, Heaven and Delusion, the two perspectives we're seeing here, the two sides of the same story, it makes your mind race, because everything we see from Kiro or Maru's perspective, and then we see at this facility, it's all related. And whether characters are related to one another, whether characters came from here, it doesn't really matter in the grand picture of that. The big question is what the hell is the punchline to this world? Once everything comes full circle, once everything connects and we know the quote-unquote full picture, what is truly the end goal of a show like this? Because seriously, I have no damn idea. And while they may have had fun with squeezing of the breasts and saying big breasts will get you killed, at first I thought that was just a joke, but given what we now know of the breeding pig facility being real, I kind of believe the women probably were that envious of anyone with double Ds. Goddamn, this episode was wild. But let me know what you thought of this episode, because it definitely left me shook. I love the creative production, I love the mind trip of an episode, and what a way to end an episode if you ask me. But thoughts, feelings yourself down below, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more Heavenly Delusion. And as I mentioned, full live reaction to this insane episode is available on my Patreon, and while you're there, you'll also get a video shout out. So today, we have Ailun, Ben Liu, Alicia Archer, Furpur, and FCCL. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.